everybody. About a zillion years ago, I was offered a job working as a production assistant on a show that I found out was a pretty big deal. I didn't end up taking the role, but that's where I first learned about Wynonna Earp, the sassy main character in this month's social chapter selection, Wynonna Earp, Tales from Purgatory.
Yes, well, the Audible original is basically every fan's dream scenario because a bunch of the TV show's actors actually came back to perform their characters. There are fights with demons, lots of sexual innuendo, and it picks up where the TV show left off, following Wynonna and her soulmate Doc Holliday as they search for the promised land, Dollywood. Take a listen.
After a lifetime of demon honky-donkin' and bad guy badonka-donkin', it was nice to get to ride off into the sunset with my boo holding on behind me and my V-twin between my legs. And a motorcycle engine, too. Yeah, running down the road trying to loosen my load. Hold up, is that how that song goes? Loosen my load? Jesus, disgusting.
Okay, we all have 20 seconds to sound off about this greedy supernatural world. Mel, why don't you get us started? What did you rate Wynonna Earp Tales from Purgatory?
You sure? You sure you want to hear this?
You better sit back, the tea is hot.
I gave this a 3 out of 10. And here's why. I wasn't familiar with the Wynonna Earp world prior to this Audible listen, and honestly, I wish it was still that way. This is not my genre, and sadly, I forced myself to listen to the end. I felt like I was at a party and I didn't know one person. I'm also staunchly not a fan of sci-fi, and once the humans started turning into giants, I almost tapped out for good. For me, this was all smoke, no gun, no fun.
Okay, fair.
Whoa.
Okay, Cynthia, what about you?
Okay, well, this is my genre, but I gave this a question mark out of 10, and here's why. Listen, I suspect diehard fans of the show will love going back into this strange and sexy world, but as someone who was unfamiliar with it, I felt like I was watching small-town theater with a blindfold on. I kept asking myself, am I in Tennessee or in hell? Is that Wynonna or is that Rachel? Who's Rachel anyway? Why does Wynonna Earp's lover sound like her grandfather? Many questions. So even though the sex puns were clever at times, I was a little bit lost in this dusty tale.
Ooh.
So, okay, sorry, Jess.
It's me up next. Okay, this is gonna get good. I gave this a 5 out of 10, and here's why. Because there's a 50% chance you'll like it. Fans will slip seamlessly into the world of demons, poltergeists, and cheesy repartee, but if you've never seen an episode like me, you'll be visiting Wikipedia every 2 minutes to find out why Doc Holliday is alive, why some characters speak like millennials and others like they're old-timey yeehaw gold diggers. The much-beloved show hinged on it being so bad and over-the-top campy that it was good, but for me, coming in cold, it was just bad.
Yeah.
You're up.
I was like, here we go. Okay, I gave this a 6.5 out of 10, and here's why. I know, I was nice, right? I was in a good mood. The audiobook is bizarre, ridiculous, over the top, silly, and I mean that in the best way possible. Now, I didn't grow up watching a lot of science fiction movies or TV shows, so I'm relatively new to the genre, but I like this one. I thought it was cheeky, funny, packed with mystery and adventure, not to mention it has a strong female lead character. So if you want a little scrappy little underdog audiobook with heroic adventures, cheeky banter, and a little bow chicka wow wow, you might like this one.
Oh, okay. I like it. Let's follow that bow chicka wow wow, shall we? Because in episode 5, Wynonna introduces Doc to the Mile High Club. You all know what that is, right? You get up close and personal in the airplane bathroom. So does membership hold any appeal for you, Jess?
Or maybe you are members. Anyway.
I have to say that planes don't do it for me, let alone planes with washrooms. It just doesn't do it to me. So much so that I recently flew home an 11-hour flight from Greece. I didn't use the washroom once. Luckily, I didn't properly hydrate the entire trip. So I didn't even, it was like an hour and a half before landing. And I was like, well, what's the point? She can hold it that long. An hour and a half.
Now, did you do that on purpose?
No, I just did. Honestly, it was the first time I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't peed this entire flight.
Because I do it on purpose, but for the same reason, I'm not a fan of these bathrooms and all that mystery liquid that's on the floor. And when I see somebody go into that bathroom without any shoes and socks on, I'm like, okay. So the idea, I barely want to pee in there, so the idea of getting sexy, first of all, there's no space. I'm not a big person, but there's absolutely no space. My cheeks already hitting the wall, and I'm just trying to sit down and pee. So
what if it was on a private jet? With, like, you know, like
obviously.
Doing it right there for everybody to see.
Private jets.
No, not for me.
And I guess the way that they're laid out, people can see everybody who's going in and who's coming out.
Also not soundproof in there either.
It's not soundproof, but you're just literally on display. You're not sneaking on anybody in or out. Yeah.
It's not soundproof. I'm regretting a lot of past behavior. Okay, what about this one? One of the characters, Mercedes, enjoys role-playing and dirty dentist talk with Dr. Rogers, her dentist. So did listening to that make you more or less likely to want to role-play in the bedroom, Cynthia?
I mean, listen, this scene didn't do it for me personally, but role-playing to me, I've said it once, I'll say it a million times, is the key to keeping things spicy if you're doing a long-term relationship. And go with me. We don't get a lot of opportunity to play and try on different identities, and it can keep things really spicy if you find the right scenario. Andrea, you're looking at me.
I know, I'm looking at you because I'm like, you could be the sexy librarian, just you're missing the glasses in this at all. Maybe your husband.
I will stay in this then when I go home.
I love that idea of keeping the sexiness alive in a long-term relationship, but for me, this role-playing reminds me of improv class, and I know there's no way that if the person I'm with and they're naked and they're doing voices, I'm out. Like, there's no way I could keep a straight face. I'd be laughing the whole time, so it's not for me with the role.
Okay, so in episode 3, we heard a flashback to Carol and Nedley, again, who? But Carol and Nedley's proposal, and learned that she turned him down numerous times before finally agreeing. So can you relate to this idea of being a little hesitant about marriage?
Yes, the only person here who's not married. You know what, and no, all jokes aside, I've always taken marriage and having kids very seriously. I wanted to really think about it, because I'm like, if I were to get married and have children, I'd want to be able to look at my kids and defend my reason for choosing this person to be their father.
That's great.
And I've been to too many weddings, and I had, you know, that time where all your girlfriends are getting married, and I had a lot of girlfriends who seemed to be picking people out of desperation instead of picking the right person. And to me, you're aligning yourself with this person spiritually, financially, physically. Why would you make a rush decision? You really want to sit down and think about it and be 100% sure. So that's just my opinion about marriage anyway. And why I'll never do it.
Well, it's funny because I think so many, I guess the fairy tale that we're fed as women is that you dream of this day all the time, and I just never did. And I remember a past boyfriend, I thought for some weird reason he was about to propose. And when the panic and anxiety set in, where it was like, I gotta get out of here, I realized, I guess I don't really dig him that much, and I don't dig the institution of marriage, but it was the guy issue. It was not actually the institution, because, you know, happily married after 16 years. You know, I should have left him at that point. That probably was a red flag.
Yeah,
I have almost the exact same scenario, kind of. I was playing tennis with an ex-boyfriend. He won. And then after, we were sitting outside on a park bench, and he was like, yeah, we should probably get married, you know, if we're thinking about our future and stuff. And then he was getting very calculating about the steps we should take. And I was like, did he just propose to me after beating me in tennis? And I remember deflecting the conversation because I didn't want to answer, which was a red flag, but stayed together for another 2 years after that.
I know. We live, we learn.
Right.
Listen, for a story with a lot of demons, this certainly got spicy. And good news, you can actually join Andrea and Jess on Instagram Live today at 4:30 Eastern. They'll be continuing the conversation, including whether they have any notable ancestors in their family tree and the commonplace things that they're unusually scared of. So that will be fascinating.
I wonder if we're gonna be surprised at each other.
You're gonna be very surprised.
Oh, but for now, it's time for the big reveal. Drum roll, please. Our next social chapter selection is The Wonder of Stevie, hosted by New York Times Pulitzer Prize-winning culture critic Wesley Morris. This Audible original explores Stevie Wonder's most iconic albums and the profound inspiration he drew from the beauty and pain of the Black American experience. It features in-depth musical and cultural analysis from legendary artists and thought leaders, including Barack and Michelle Obama, Questlove, Smokey Robinson, Janelle Monáe, and many more.
All right. Go to audible.ca, everybody, so you can listen along with us. Your first audiobook is free with your membership. See you then. We'll be right back.
Hey, you, come a bit closer. We've got so many more must-see interviews, spicy debates, lifestyle tips, and pop culture moments. So subscribe to our channel by tapping the logo below and don't miss out.